Alright, it's March 20th and have a snow day here, so I thought it'd take some time to make a video on my Rimol greenhouse. Um, Rimol Nor'easter, 30 foot wide, 72 feet long. And I want to take some time and show you some of the details I put into this. You can feel free to steal them from me. But let's take a walk inside. Right now it's probably about 30 degrees. It's not too cold, but the snow's just sliding right off. So one thing I want to take some time talking about is our germination tables. We have 4 of these here, and I'll show you inside here. Each one holds 11 trays. This one here is made out of 2x6 material with a plywood backing and insulation. I learned from my mistake with this, you really need to use at minimum 2x8s. 2x10s if you want. 2x10s would be good for tomatoes. Some of the low-lying herbs, oregano and whatnot, in the thyme do fine in here. So how this works is one of these devices. This is a jump start. I don't know if that's the manufacturer or the model name. I keep it set for 82 degrees, and this goes inside and heats up this heat tape. The tape I think is 11 inches wide by 10 feet long, and there's 2 of them. And like I said, I keep that set to 82 degrees, and we can germinate vegetables here in middle of January is when we start with our onions, rosemary, lavender, the slower growing herbs. So continue on here. I also use a polycarbonate sheeting. Helps keep the heat in overnight. You can't keep these open overnight, but you can't keep them closed during the day. If it's a sunny day, you'll cook your plants real quick. We've done that a few times. So here's our another germination table. I think here we have shallots. Back here sage, which germinated really poorly. Leeks, what do we got there? Lemon, mint, orange thyme. Got my beets and chard, some more shallots. This might be my last year seeding shallots. I think I'm going to start doing transplants moving forward. So, and then down here we got our tomatoes, peppers, a number of other herbs. All told, I guess we have 44 trays right now. And I got to spend the rest of the day seeding basil and more tomatoes, more peppers, and a few herbs. I got to look at the list. And we'll take them to a neighboring farm where he has some room for me. I'm going to keep them in there and for the next week or so, and hopefully we'll be past this snow stuff, and I can take my chives out and maybe some my lower temp herbs, put them on the ground with just a fabric over them, and I can put my tomatoes and peppers in the empty spots in here. The unfortunate thing is every year I build one more of these, and next year I'm going to have to build another because they fill up real fast. But back to the greenhouse here. We'll talk about the end walls. This was a design I came up with. I really couldn't find any information on the internet. So what I did is a 2x8 or a 2x10 pressure treated skirt board. In hindsight, I probably would have used black locust, but for whatever reason I bought pressure treated for this. 2-foot centers. I have just 2x4s going up to the framework. On each side of the door I have 4x4s. They're concreted into the ground about 2 feet or so, and they extend the whole way up to the framework. And then I have a 4x4 cross post screwed, and I also have angle bracing to hold that in. From that cross post and also extending to the vertical 2x4s, I have the track for the sliding doors. And then up here I have an exhaust fan, which I was fortunate we have an old pig sty here, and it was in there, so I took it out and repurposed it. We don't raise pigs. These sliding doors are real nice. Had I known they were $800, I probably would have built my own, but I unfortunately didn't look at the pricing when I placed the order. But they look real nice, so in hindsight I'm happy. Put some shelves onto the wall, nothing fancy there. I did run an underground line in here. These Iowa yard hydrants are really nice. And one thing I bought is the hose trolley, they call it. I think it was 70 or 80 bucks. This thing is great. You don't drag your hose on the ground, you don't injure your transplants. One thing though is it comes with an aircraft cable that is way too small. They're really cutting corners on that. I had to my neighbor just happened to have a roll of this stuff he used for growing hops, and he had it in surplus. I bought about 100 feet off of him, and he had some of these clamps. I don't know if you can see them up there. Pretty handy. And then we just have it braced into the wall there. But yeah, this hose trolley is great. I also have that same aircraft cable. I guess I lied. I actually probably bought about 500 feet of it because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 runs right now that I run my cucumbers up, my tomatoes up. I did peppers in here the first year. I don't do peppers in the greenhouse anymore. So that's really it for trellising. Until you raise tomatoes on these twine pieces here, you don't know what you're missing. It's just incredibly easy. Here is, I think I can see here, the snow pusher. I built that. I think it was 2 years ago. We got about a 3-foot blizzard, and I was going out of town, so I had to quick throw something together for my wife to come in here and knock the snow off the roof. I was afraid it would collapse. A lot of friends and acquaintances did lose their tunnels, but this nor'easter is built tough. Even if the snow wouldn't have been knocked off, it probably would have survived, but who wants to take chances? As you can probably see, the snow right now, it's 30 degrees, so it's just sliding right off. It really doesn't take any effort on our part. Once you get into the middle of January, when it gets colder, it doesn't slide off quite as easy, but it really... I'm not nearly as concerned now as I was a couple years ago when I first built this about snow load. So, talk about that. We'll talk about the sides here. These are roll-up sides, which work great. I leave them rolled up probably from mid-May till mid-September. Then I put rabbit or chicken netting here on the side to keep the dogs and rabbits out. Then I have baseboard here. This is all pressure treated. Down here I have passive ventilation, louvers. I don't know if you call it passive ventilation because there's a motor controlling it, but I think that's set to open up at about 90 degrees or so, 85, 90 degrees. And this wall's built the same way, except I built my own doors after I discovered the price tag for the sliding doors. So there's some pretty shoddy, thrown together in a hurry doors there. We can talk about the lighting too. This is one of the best parts. This was just an Amazon find. I think this is a 100-foot roll of these lights. You see them in construction projects. I'm not sure what they're called, but they work wonderfully in here. I have LED bulbs. Fortunately, 100 feet doesn't come the whole way back on the other run, so I want to buy a 50-foot run to double up on this edge here. Definitely use LED bulbs with these. The CFLs don't do well in the winter. Too slow to warm up. Also want to talk about these tables I built on here. These are built out of 2x4s, and see if I can show it. Well, there's a 2x4 mounted to the framework of the greenhouse, and then the table itself is mounted on a hinge. So this chain here, down here, you can unhook. 4 chains holding the table up. You can unhook it, and it'll just flop down, lean against the edge, and you have more growing space here. I've actually not once lowered these because I use them all year round. But at the time I thought that would be nice. And then down here, did a raised bed of pine berries and strawberries. That's more of a novelty. We'll probably eat most of those ourselves. The one benefit of that is this is the side of the greenhouse that is above grade, so a lot of air was blowing underneath, and this helps seal up the air that was blowing underneath. Let's talk about, this is our rudimentary seeding station. We don't grow in awful large amounts, so we can just get by with doing it by hand. Down here is where the electric comes in. I think I ran a 30 amp service here, and I just have 2 circuits. One controls the HVAC, the other controls the heat stations. I have one of these outlets at every table, so I don't have to run extension cords. And then here is a fertilizer injector. Oops, sorry. Here's the fertilizer injector I use in here. Really don't use it too often. I really don't want to run fish emulsion through there. It kind of clogs up the tape. But I think that's about it. That's pretty much the full tour. One thing to note, and I should add this earlier in the video in case people click the stop button before they got to the end. But building these end walls, do not go 2 feet on center. You do not want to go 2 feet on center because the aluminum track that holds the panels in is a 1/2 inch wide. So if you go 2 feet on center, you'll encounter the problem I had where the first 1 or 2 panels will fit fine, but then you start to get off the 2x4s with the edge of the polycarbonate, and then you have to ripsaw. I don't know if you call it ripsaw in plastic, but you have to cut them down about 1 inch or so. So learn from my mistake. We'll show you the outside here so you have a better idea what I'm talking about. This track here, there's about a 1/2 inch gap in there, and so that makes it more than 2 feet on center. So go 2 feet and a 1/2 inch or so on center, and that should get all these lined up real nice. But that's about all I got to show you on this. Thanks for watching.